What were you doing at midnight last night? The president was tweeting this, despite the constant negative press, covfefe, and that's it.
You owned the pronunciation right there, I have to say.
I can't do it anywhere.
You owned it.
Nearly as well as you do it, so I just try. Anyways, it seems like he was about to complain about the press, but he never finished. So that tweet was deleted about 5:50 a.m. this morning.
And about 20 minutes after the deletion followed this. Who can figure out the true meaning of covfefe? Enjoy.
See?
It is hard. All right. An innocent typo? Probably. But remember this. Press Secretary Sean Spicer has said many, many times the president is his own best messenger.
It seemed that the president was implying that Sally Yates may have had something to do with the leaked information to newspapers. Is that what he was implying?
I think the tweet speaks for itself.
He seemed to imply in that tweet that he would be in favor of primarying some individuals in the Freedom Caucus who oppose his agenda. Is that correct? Did I read that correctly?
I'm going to say I'm going to let the tweet speak for itself.
Does the president stand by his statement that President Obama is a bad or sick guy?
I think the president's tweets stand for themselves.
Covfefe. It speaks for itself. Let's discuss now. Dan Pfeiffer is joining us, former senior advisor to President Obama, and Justin Sayfie, former communications director for Governor Jeb Bush. Justin, if I can start with you, leave aside for the fact that universities are already preparing their syllabuses, with covfefe on it to teach classes on it. But one thing it does show is that the Twitter discipline that the president was under during his 9-day overseas trip, it really does seem as if that has been relaxed. The midnight tweeting this morning about what he calls the witch hunt. We've been hearing about a new communication strategy. Is this it, do you think?
Well, I think that, look, he has 31 million followers on Twitter, okay? It was a powerful tool for him during the presidential campaign. I am not one of those who says the president should stop tweeting. I think it's a great way for the president to directly get his message out to the people of the country. I think he should actually use it more and more effectively than he has been. And he can do things like Periscope, live broadcasts from his Twitter feeds. There's other things he can do to take advantage of that huge audience that he's amassed on Twitter.
Right.
So I'm
Meerkat.
not one of those who thinks he shouldn't use it.
Meerkat. All right, Dan Pfeiffer, let's just unpack that. He says do it more, and also Justin says do it more effectively. I just wonder, when you say a lot of stuff and you put some things out there that aren't even words, how are folks supposed to take the other things you're saying on the medium seriously?
Well, look, I don't think the problem is not Twitter, it's the tweeter. And because Trump says these factually inaccurate, inflammatory, fairly dumb things, whether it's in a tweet, at a press conference, in a speech, or in an interview. And so this is the ultimate communication challenge for the administration, is that Trump every day, either in person or on the internet, says something that is problematic and upends whatever convoluted message strategy they spent the morning developing.
So, Dan, you had the job. Mike Dupke, by the way, resigned yesterday. That's a job that you held, Dan Pfeiffer, inside.
For longer than 3 months, yeah.
For longer than 3 months. So how much can a communications director shape the message of a president?
I think a communications director in a normal world with a normal president, Republican or Democrat, can play a very important role in doing it, and setting up a message calendar, developing message plans, figuring out how you're going to deliver that message, figuring out how to respond to the crisis du jour. But that is not, this White House does not function in that way. I don't get the sense that Mike Dupke was very good at his job. I definitely don't think Sean Spicer was particularly good at the job he's doing right now. But even if you put the best people the Republican Party had to offer in those jobs, I think it would still be a disaster, because the problem is Trump, both as a messenger and as someone who does not allow his White House to function in any sort of normal way, would allow you to have a plan and then actually execute on it.
There are those, Justin, who would argue that folks who had Dupke's job and Dan Pfeiffer's job just cover up the truth of what the president really wants to say, or at least color it in the way that they think will play best in the press. I mean, there is that appetite in America. We saw it during the campaign, and, he won for, let me hear it right from the lips of the president, with no shading from the professionals.
I could not agree more. Look, President Trump was a reality TV star. And he's bringing that same authenticity to his Twitter account. That's what people liked so much about his campaign, was the fact that they could hear it directly, unvarnished, unpolished, unpoll tested. No one thought that Donald Trump was talking to his pollster or his handler or his press secretary or his communications advisor before he put something out on Twitter. There's something attractive about the fact that you do get to you get undiluted truth from the president, from his lips, in terms of what he's thinking, rather than, do we really want to go back to the days where the president has to, consult with 10 people, including his pollster, including his communications advisors, let them polish it up, let them show it before a focus group, let them poll test the message, and then have him put something out that's so sterile and so vanilla?
I hear you. You say unvarnished truths. I would just say there are things he has put out on Twitter that are not factual or accurate or truthful.
Varnished or otherwise. But Dan Pfeiffer, I want to get to you on one important point here. Frank Bruni did an op-ed in which he interviewed Mike Bloomberg, former independent mayor of New York City. But the mayor said something fascinating, and I think that should send chills down some spines of Democrats. He says Democrats are still searching for the right issues and words, and too many have visions of 2020 dancing in their heads. They'll step on each other and re-elect Donald Trump. And the mayor estimated a 55% chance that Donald Trump gets re-elected. What do you make of the mayor's assessment?
Slightly better than a coin flip. We don't know where we're going to be in 2020. Democrats I'll be the first to admit, Democrats have a lot of work to do to figure out what the right message is to build not a majority in the country, because they had them in the 2016 elections, but a majority in the key states to divide. So we have work to do, and I think Democrats should not think that the White House isn't going to hand it to them, because history says incumbents almost always win re-election. And so there's a lot of work to do, both in organizing and messaging, between now and 2020 to be prepared for that election. So we should not take that for granted. I agree with the mayor on that.
And they can't just run on the Russia chaos. Not going to work. Guys, thank you. Dan Pfeiffer, Justin Sayfie, nice to have you both here. A lot ahead for us.
Yeah.